Tonight's guest is a retired first deputy superintendent of police for the Cicero Police Department, where he also commanded the training division and served as a range master. Before that, he spent over 30 years with the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department, rising through the ranks from patrol officer all the way to area commander, overseeing more than 100 officers. He's trained over 7,000 recruits and 12,000 in-service officers, served as a sniper and hostage negotiator, and even founded the Gang Crimes and Narcotics Unit in Cook County. He's a proud FBI National Academy graduate, earned his degree summa cum laude from Benedictine University, and holds countless commendations, including the Sheriff's Award for Meritorious Service and the Life-Saving Award, and multiple department citations. Please welcome Patrick J. McGee to Hibernian Radio. Pat, was I right with everything there, or am I wrong?
Oh, I don't know how I could live up to all of that. Oh, goodness. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on the program. Tim O'Donnell, one of your early recruits, suggested that you'd come on the program and be a good guest, so we're thrilled to have you. What a resume.
Well, God bless his heart.
Tell me a little bit about your career, but before that, let's hear a little bit about where you grew up. You were a member of the Our Lady of Angels Parish on the west side here in Chicago as a kid.
Yes, definitely. Very proud member. I was baptized at that church, made my first confession and communion there, confirmation there, and graduated out of there. Went to the grammar school. I was actually in kindergarten the year of the fire.
Right.
And it was a very tragic fire, of course. But I happened to be off that day because I had my tonsils taken out the day before.
Wow.
I was a little 5-year-old kid, and nonetheless, we wouldn't have been in the same building that actually burned.
Right.
Because of the baby boom. They were using two buildings on the 800 block of Hamlin.
Yeah.
So I was in one of them. But all of my classmates were removed from the classrooms in those buildings, and they were marched out of those buildings because the fire department was worried and the police department was worried that it was an arson and that those buildings would be targeted as well. So all of my classmates, unfortunately, had to watch the school burn down, half a block away.
Yeah.
So I missed out on that, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, did you have siblings that were attending the school at the time too?
One of my cousins was in 4th grade. He got out.
God bless.
And of course, it was December 1st, so it was cold. And my aunt grabbed him, and she was a rather large gal. Mm-hmm. And God love her. And he told her he was going to go back into school and get his coat, and she says, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
And he did not. So that was that. But yeah, he got out okay. We knew a number of kids that got killed in that fire. So.
Very tragic.
Yes.
A lot of Italian Americans in that community. You told me before the show you're Scotch-Irish, but you're also half Italian.
Half Italian.
And there's a lot of guys like that I grew up with out in this neighborhood. A lot on the west side like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we enjoyed the fact that being a little multicultural. You weren't just locked into one thing. And,
Yep.
And I mean, like some funny stories. People that didn't know I was Italian, start talking Italian in front of me, and I
understood it.
I understand it. Because I used to speak it a little bit with my grandfather, and I'm fascinated by languages. So
yeah.
But we had fun with it over the years.
And you told me before we started rolling tonight that your grandfather was like a second father figure to you. You lost your dad at a very young age.
Yeah.
And your grandfather was from Calabria, Italy, and worked here as a cook here in Chicago for many, many, many years at the Illinois Athletic Club.
112 South Michigan Avenue. And he was actually... We always said he was the chef, but because he couldn't read and write English real well,
yeah,
he got the cook's pay, and the American guy got the
yeah.
chef's pay.
Yeah.
But Grandpa was a prince. He was the best. He raised 6 kids, and
that was your mom's dad.
My mom's dad, Salvatore Mancina.
Salvatore Mancina.
Yes.
Taylor Street guy.
Taylor Street guy. Yeah.
And then later lived with you guys in the west side, correct?
West side. Yes, sir.
What happens after Our Lady of Angels? Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Gordon Tech.
Rams, Rams,
good
GT
old
Rams.
GT. What a school! And I thanked my mom once I grew up, I thanked my mom, and I said, "Ma, I know you were a widow and you didn't have a whole lot of money, but man, oh man, you sent me to two good schools. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
And I got to say, it really helped me immensely.
Now, while you were at Gordon Tech, was the police on your radar at all? Were you thinking about that at all?
I was, but of course, times being what they were, and you had to be 21 to apply and everything else. I started driving truck when I was 20,
Yeah.
and I was driving tractor trailers. I was getting extra pay for that. I was getting great money, and I still wanted to be the police, so I was testing.
Yeah.
But the pay scales for the police departments that I was testing for was going to be significantly less than I was making driving the big rigs.
What year was this?
I started testing when I turned 21 in 1974,
Okay.
and I finally got on a job in April of 77.
Okay.
So it took me 3 years.
Yeah, and you went right to sheriff's police at that point. Yes.
Yeah, the sheriff's police have a rule that went into place around 79, and I started in 77. And that rule prevented anybody from coming directly onto the police department. You had to go to the jail first.
Yes.
And when I started, they didn't have that rule. So
Right.
about 50% of the people I came on the job with had gone to the jail, had worked at the jail first.
Right.
But the rest of us had just come out of private enterprise.
Right.
So I took the pay cut. It was a big one.
Yep.
And I never looked back. I said, this is what I want to do.
What do you think lured you into that profession? Why do you think you chose it?
I wanted to do it. It was what I felt I was destined for and made for.
Yeah. Did you have any role models growing up in the neighborhood that you knew that were policemen? That you were,
Yeah, my mom's cousin was a Chicago copper from 1947 to 1982.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, we thought it'd be kind of fun to let Tony, my cousin,
Yep.
my mom's cousin Tony,
Yep.
know, that I wanted to be a policeman. We thought he'd get a kick out of it. So my mom told her cousin, she says, "Yeah, Pat's got something to tell you." And I was like 16 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And I want to be a policeman. He jumped up out of his chair and he comes at me. I thought he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I'm a skinny young kid and whatever, and he's got these hands on him like hams and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm backpedaling around the house, and he's chasing me all over the place. And my mother starts screaming, "You're going to give him a heart attack, right?"
Yeah.
Ma, I'm not doing nothing. I just don't want him to lay those hands on me, right? So
Yeah.
finally, when he got tuckered out, we talked.
Yeah.
He said, "I don't want that for you." And he starts squeezing my leg, and he's sitting next to me and stuff. And
Yeah.
said, "I don't want that for you. You're going to put your mother through this and that."
Well.
Tony, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the time I became a cop in 77, he still had 5 years left on the job.
Yep.
So we were buddies.
Big
It
time
was,
buddies.
It was cool.
That's very cool.
But he was a World War II veteran, and
Yeah.
he was. I worked with a lot of World War II veterans on
Yep.
the job too.
Yep.
But yeah,
Speaking of which, different kind of caliber of guy.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But my dad's younger brother,
Yep.
another World War II veteran, he was a copper too.
Okay.
And my father-in-law.
So that would have been your uncle, your other uncle.
Yeah, my other uncle. That was Otis
McGee.
McGee. And then I had my father-in-law was a copper, actually on the sheriff's police from 56 through 60. So
Okay.
he really liked the idea of me going on the sheriff's police.
Now, were you married before you? So you obviously were married before you got on the job.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Now, for a long time, you were in the. Well, let's talk a little bit about your. You've worked some pretty big cases, I presume, with sheriff's police from 77 onward.
Well, when you say work cases, usually we're thinking about detectives. I never was a detective.
Right.
I had a few working for me over the years in one capacity or another, but I never was a detective, nor was I an evidence technician.
Okay.
But when you're talking about big cases, I know what you're referring to. I had to go stand guard at Gacy's house and for 2 weeks. And I was a young patrolman. Mm-hmm. And we would we would make sure that nobody who was unauthorized got in there or whatever. And of course, the bosses were very nice to let us come in and actually see the dig a little bit because it's history.
Yeah.
And so I got to do that. So I was there the first week on a day shift, and we were still rotating shifts then. So the second week I was on midnights, and that was, it was boring a little bit, but we were just making sure nobody came in that house and screwed around with anything. It's all evidence,
right?
So
now, why would the sheriff's police have been on that scene as well as CPD? Because because capital murder is a federal crime, and like
CPD was not on that case. It was in unincorporated Cook County.
Okay.
And so Chicago Police Department is the police in the city of Chicago.
Right.
Okay. That's just like when we had the plane crash in '79. That was in Elk Grove Township. That was unincorporated Cook County.
Yeah.
We handled that.
Okay.
Not them.
Right.
The fire department was, thinking that they were going to be handling that, but there was no injured people there.
Yeah.
Everybody was deceased, unfortunately.
Yep.
So we handle that as well. But if it happens in unincorporated Cook County, the sheriff's police handle it.
Got it.
Okay, so we are the police in unincorporated Cook County.
Got it. What did policing look like in 1977 compared to what it's evolved to today? The pros and the cons. What do you love and miss, and what's for the better?
Yeah, a lot of the guys that came on in the 80s and 90s, they'd say, "Oh my God, those guys that came on in the 70s, they're a hell of a lot crazier than we are, and this and that and everything else." And I would say to them, you had to see the guys that came on in the 60s and the 50s who we got to work with.
Yeah.
But I think we've professionalized a lot more. Not to say that those guys weren't professional, they were. But
yeah.
When I was a kid on the west side of Chicago, I grew up in Fillmore over there.
Yeah.
And that was the most happiest district. It still is.
Yep.
I keep track of all the homicides and stuff, because we were right next to them in Cicero.
Yep.
109 homicides in a 6 square mile area in 2021. That's
West Garfield Park, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 11, Fillmore.
Yeah.
And it's called West Garfield Park. Some people call it West Humboldt Park.
Right.
Whatever. We know where we're talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was insane there. And so one day me and my buddy were walking down the alley, and a couple of Chicago coppers stop us and what have you. And I guess we weren't quick enough to tell them our names and do whatever, so we got pushed into the garage.
Yeah. And
that's just how it was back then with these guys.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think things have gotten, we've finessed people more at this point. You'll notice, you were talking about in my resume, I was a sniper on the SWAT team, and then I was a hostage negotiator.
Right.
I found being a hostage negotiator and having to get into somebody's mind on the phone when they're trying to kill somebody was more challenging than putting a bullet where it needed to be with a sniper rifle.
I believe that.
It was very rewarding when you were able to talk somebody out of
a heinous act,
some crazy stuff, or suicide.
Right. Right.
And so one of the things that I teach for the state is communication in the police environment.
Right.
And it's a course on how to talk to people. And we use a system called verbal judo, and it's how to diffuse hostile situations. I'm very intrigued by that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was looking for when I first started, was get out there, do some good, and, catch some bad guys, of course, and maybe manage to prevent somebody from getting hurt.
Yeah. Why do they call it verbal judo?
Well,
I mean, I know that judo is the martial art where you're kind of using your opponent's weight and sort of using the centrifugal force of them coming on you to kind of twist it back on them. So I presume some of the mindset has to do with that, right? Take someone's ideas and work with them on it and then flip them on it.
That's exactly how I describe it when we talk about it being verbal judo. And, of course, I joke around and I refer to it as gerbil voodoo. But nonetheless, the art of judo, if I was to attack you and you were a judo practitioner, a judoka, you would not I would punch at you. You wouldn't punch me. You would sidestep and deflect.
I'd try to grab your gi and flip you.
You would deflect me and flip me over that way or whatever. Mm-hmm. If it was verbal karate, I'd say, screw you, and you'd say, no, screw you too.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick your butt. And you'd say, no, I'm going to kick your butt. That's verbal boxing or verbal karate.
Yeah.
But with verbal judo, when a guy says on a domestic, officer, get out of my house or I'm going to kick your butt, we say, sir, I understand you're
I don't
upset.
want you, yeah.
Can we talk over here for just a minute, please?
Yeah.
And he's like, you just deflected it. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And it works, and I wish more people would practice that type of thing than being confrontational and whatever all the time. There's too many people getting hurt for nothing.
I agree. It's hard to be a law enforcement officer these days because the hostility that comes at you, it takes a certain temperance to not want to fire back right away.
Yeah.
What got you interested in teaching after being in the sheriff's police for so long?
Well, I actually had a good friend of mine who I was on the street with.
Yep.
And he unfortunately got hurt in an accident, and they made him a spot in the training academy. So I knew him.
Yeah.
The training academy was populated by mostly Southsiders.
Okay.
Okay, Cook County's huge. I mean, we go all the way from almost near Carpentersville down to Indiana border.
Yep.
So you had a lot of division and whatever, and there was a lot of Southsiders that had gravitated to the academy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this was a Northside guy in there.
Yeah.
So now they were always looking for somebody to come in and help with firearms training. Because one thing we did on the sheriff's police, especially back then, was we would shoot a lot. So we would do our quarterly qualifications, or we would do a low light shoot, an available cover course, or we would do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always looking for somebody to come in and help out. So this guy recommended me.
Yep.
I said, okay, cool. So I started going down there like 3-4 times a year. And one day, one of the guys who was teaching defensive tactics, self-defense, he decided he was going to leave. And so the lieutenant said, oh, my goodness, what am I supposed to do now? I don't have any more guys that were black belts here, because there was 2 or 3 of them that had taken that position. They were all black belts in Hapkido.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I happened to overhear this.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when he was done talking to the guy, I said, hey, Lieutenant, can I talk to you a minute? He goes, yeah. I said, if you're looking for a martial arts guy to help out with defensive tactics, I'm here all the time with the firearms. I could do both. He goes, you're not a martial arts guy. I said, well, yeah, I am. I said, I just don't tell nobody.
Okay.
Really? So he goes, well, let me run it by the Korean, Mr. Hyun, the Korean guy. I said, okay.
What was his status in the sheriff's police?
He helped us.
Oh, so he was a martial artist who would come in and teach.
Hapkido black belt. Yeah.
Okay.
And he would come in, and so he said to the lieutenant, he says, well, is he what martial art? And he says, I don't know, some Okinawan stuff. And I says, it's Goju Shirei. It's Okinawan karate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. He goes, what level? He goes, he's a black belt. He goes, I'll take him.
Cool.
So bingo, I'm in. So I was multitasking. I was able to do defensive tactics, and I was able to do firearms.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the first year I was there, they had me in charge of in-service training. Well, I'm like, I don't know, 31 years old. I'm a young guy.
You're young, yeah.
And the guy who was teaching in-service or being the coordinator for in-service, he was like, I don't know, about 44, 45 years old. He was more in tune with the, no, he was teaching the recruits, rather, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so he was more in tune with the in-service guys, and I was more in age-wise
with the recruits. Yeah.
So after a year, we flipped.
Yeah.
And so all of 84, I was doing in-service. In 85, I started doing recruits. By the middle of the year, I replaced the Hapkido guy, and we took over with the new defensive tactic system that I brought in.
For the in-service guys, too?
For everybody.
For everybody?
And they still use it to this day. So that was 1985, and they're still using it 40 years later.
Who comes up with the curriculum for that? Like, I mean, are you integrating a lot of different blends of martial arts into it?
Martial arts is basically a good foundation for this stuff. So
Yeah.
you know how to use your body and what have you. But it's not completely divorced from martial arts.
Yeah.
But and most of the people that do this stuff have a martial arts background, but it's a completely different system. I've shown martial artists the stuff that we teach. They're like, "Wow, this is cool."
Yeah.
For coppers to learn this in the academy,
Yeah.
we do a lot of stuff with handcuffs. Okay, so when you put the cuff on, can you generate pain with the handcuff? And can you defend yourself? Okay, with a baton, can you defend yourself with OC spray or whatever?
Yep.
We have the equipment, but also punches and elbow strikes and knees, and it all gets integrated in.
Sure.
And nowadays, the thing that's all the rage is ground control, and people are into ground fighting and
Yeah.
and all that.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that
Yeah,
type of stuff.
and it's great stuff. But it has its time and its place.
Yeah.
You get attacked by multiple attackers, you don't want to be on the ground with one guy.
No. No.
You know? And I've been in situations where I was attacked by 20 people. Okay, and so you definitely want to be mobile, and it's got its time and it's got its place.
How'd you get into martial arts? Was that something you were learning as a kid?
No, I was a very shy kid.
Yeah.
I was terribly shy, and I think when I went to high school and started hanging around with a couple of guys, near Ryerson Grammar School on the south side of Chicago Avenue,
Yeah.
I started to come out of my shell a bit and whatever. And one of the guys him and I are still best friends and everything.
Yeah.
But we used to play basketball every night at Ryerson Grammar School. Mm-hmm. Even during the riots in '68.
Yeah. Pretty rough over there at that
Which
point.
I was only 15 at that time.
Yeah.
But we used to play basketball every night.
Yeah.
5 white guys against 5 black guys. So we never had to be shirts and skins. We knew.
Yeah. Yep.
But it was hilarious when we never had a fight.
Yep.
And things were crazy back then.
Yeah.
But we never had a fight. And I often wonder whatever happened to those guys,
The guys you used to play with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all from Marshall High School.
Sure. Great program, too. Great hoopers.
Yeah. And so we were there, and kind of a funny story. The night of the riots in '68, the King riots, and I'm not talking Rodney, I'm talking Martin Luther.
Yes.
The city's burning.
Yep. West Side, particularly.
Yeah, my mom, we were choking on the smoke. My mom was working at Sears at Holman and Arlington. And she had just made it home. So she went past Madison Street, which was already starting on fire. And I told her I was going out to play basketball. She goes, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
So being the little smart alecky rascal that I was, and Mom, I'm sorry, but I said, "Yeah, I am," and I got out. I
Yeah.
escaped.
Yeah.
So I went to play basketball.
Snuck out.
I went to play basketball with my buddies, and we got there, and we're thinking, okay, these guys going to show up because the black guys weren't there that day.
Yeah, like, where's our game? Yeah.
Come on,
Yep.
So then they come dribbling the ball out of the smoke on this 500 block, and there they are. And before you know it, we start playing ball. I wish I would have had a camera. I take a picture of 5 white guys playing basketball with
The
5
night of the King
black
riots.
guys, with the God blessed city burning to the south of us.
I would have won so many awards.
It would have been on the cover of friggin' Time
Time magazine.
Newsweek, whatever.
Absolutely.
I'd have been rich.
Yep. You're rich already.
Yeah.
You've got 7,000 recruits that you've trained that are forever indebted to you for the wisdom you've imparted.
I was blessed. I'm indebted to them too because I've learned from all of them as well. And we took that program and we changed it tremendously. One time they had me do a keynote address at a graduation. I had a couple of my Cicero guys graduating.
Yeah.
And they gave me an introduction. And they said, yeah, Pat brought in a system of defensive tactics here. At that time it was like 35 years ago. And they said, we still use it. And so I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
But it's a system that came out of a number of different police defensive tactics systems, but it most closely mirrors what they did at the Chicago Police Department.
Okay.
And I got along very, very well with the guys.
With those
who
training officers, yeah.
at Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. and they were some kick butt dudes. Let me tell you.
Yep. Well, I mean, how has training evolved over the time that you were there, from early '80s all the way up until today, when we talk about use of force and ethics and community relations? I presume it's harder for police. It is harder for police officers today to justify their actions. How did you guys broach the changing ideology between officers and the public from the '80s up until just recently when you retired?
Well, I think the system that I adopted way back when, and we still use, took care of a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the law, in the Illinois Revised Statute 7-5 is the section that deals with police use of force, and it basically says police shall only use force as necessary to effect the arrest. It doesn't say that specifically, but it's just a generalization.
Yep.
Okay, and a lot of coppers used to put that in their report. Yeah, RO reporting officer used only as much force as necessary to effect the arrest. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what specifically did you? Well, I'm not going to say exactly. Wait a second.
Yeah.
And I had guys telling me, because we were going over report writing and the revisions and changing, minds and the way things were done. They said, well, if you hit him with the baton, you don't put that in the report. I said, whoa, time out.
Yeah.
If I have to shoot the guy,
it's in the report.
it's going to go in the report. So if I have to hit him with the baton, I put it in the report.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But these are the old timers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, we're honest about what we do.
Yeah.
And we justify it. So I actually have a use of force model that we used, and you can actually graph out an incident. So some of the things that I do is I do expert witness work for a lot of law firms.
Yeah.
And police use of force cases.
Okay.
And so sometimes they'll send me a 500-page deposition, and I'll look through it, and I will indicate that on, let's say, page 3, line 17, the subject was doing this and the officer was doing that. And I can graph it out on this graph and bring it into court. And I've seen juries' eyes open when they realize, holy Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, now we understand. And it's not just saying, yeah, I used the force necessary. It says he was doing this, so I'm entitled to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. And we can show if the officer used the correct amount of force, too little, or too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I've used that for many, many years. I think our shooting has improved tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people may not believe this, but there's a lot of cops that are terrible shots.
Yep.
And they need work.
Yeah.
And if they can't make it through the program, they shouldn't be on the street.
Yeah.
It's a very easy skill to
master,
to hone,
to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people. I love it when I can do a class and I can get their groups to shrink tremendously.
Yeah.
And get them to come out of the holster quicker and easier and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I introduced with the new system was a segment called weapon retention. So if the guy tries to take your gun out of your holster
Mm-hmm.
while you're fighting with them or whatever,
Right. Subduing
how do
yep.
you defend it?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very fortunate. I've had quite a few officers, we're in the double digits on this one, tell me that those techniques saved their life over the years.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased with that, and I get very excited when I teach that block.
Yeah.
That block I absolutely love. I think I'm being, I'm kind of being motivated by those memories of those guys saying those things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I asked you that is that, you see right now we have all this stuff going on with ICE, and you see all these people that I presume are going to be filing lawsuits for excessive force of some kind for what. Now, these videos that you're seeing online are not showing the whole stories. They don't show you the beginning. But I was curious to know, how do you feel about what those guys are having to go through right now?
I'm seeing them on the ground a lot.
Yeah, I am too.
And it's usually a case of, the ICE agents outnumbering
The subject.
at least the ones that they're fighting with at the moment. My experience with crowds has been, and I've been in a lot of crowd control situations and what have you over the years, but the crazy ones were when we went to an apartment complex and we got unloaded on by 25, 30 people. And there's only 2 of us or 3 of us,
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
And those are the situations where I said, you can't be on the ground.
No.
You can't afford to be on the ground. You got to hit and run, move, and they'll kill you if they get a chance.
If they can get a hold of your weapon.
And they've told you as such and they've told me that as such in numerous situations. So I'll be darned if I'm going to get on the ground with one guy. And the other 20 are on my back. That ain't going to happen.
Right.
So, but in these cases, it looks like they're on the ground with them. They're, coppers are afraid to do anything nowadays that looks violent. I show a video of 2 officers. They're from 2 different departments, and they're dealing with a guy outside of an apartment building, and he's by a car. And they ask him to take his hand out of his pocket, and when he does, he takes out a bag of weed. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
And he's still got his hand in the other pocket, which is a danger sign. But nonetheless, he doesn't have a weapon that they could see at the moment, and they tell him he's under arrest. And the one guy's got him by the left arm, the other copper's got him by the right arm. And they got a hold of him at the elbow and the wrist, which is what we teach. I don't know if these guys ever worked together before or what, but the guy starts struggling, and one of the officers even says, stop stiffening up, stop pulling away, which makes him what we call an active resistor. So I freeze-framed the video at that point, and I asked my officers, okay, guys, you're in their position, what do you do? And everybody's like, well, I'm going to take them down to the ground, or I'm going to slam them on the trunk of the car, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that.
Right.
Well, you're going to lose your grip on them. I don't know if these 2 guys ever worked together before or whatever. So taking them to the ground is what I get most often for an answer. And I say, what you need to do is knee him in the side of the leg where there's a nerve junction there, and it'll take his mind off his arms. You'll be able to put him into a common wrist lock.
Yep.
And I had 2 guys in a class one day, very aggressive officers, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean in a good way. They made more gun pinches,
Yep.
I think, than the whole gang unit. And they were phenomenal guys. And they said, with all due respect, boss, that looks too violent nowadays. And this was about 7, 8 years ago. I said, really? Coming out of you guys? You're saying that looks too... Kneeing the guy in the side, but you can take him to the ground?
Right.
Or you can slam him on the trunk? Come on.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you might tear the guy's knee or something like that. Right.
And it's just... And that's it. I've used that technique so many times. I've never heard anybody using that technique. So the point being is that coppers are afraid to do what they're actually entitled to do.
Yeah.
Because it may look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I fear that we've had a lot of guys already get hurt. I should say guys and gals, excuse me.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of people get hurt already as a result of being a little bit, hesitant to do what they're actually entitled to do.
Right. Well, you teach crisis communication and hostage negotiation, right?
I don't teach a certification course for hostage negotiation. I've attended them.
Okay.
But I've worked with my negotiators and stuff. We had a very, very good rapport with all of our negotiators. We had regular meetings, and we put on training programs for them. But it wasn't actually a certification course.
Yep.
They were all already certified. And we'd put them through scenarios and have fun, role play.
How much, how does, empathy in crisis negotiation or de-escalation come into play from an officer's standpoint when dealing in a situation like that?
Empathy is huge. And we deal with empathy, not sympathy.
Right.
Okay. Hey, I understand why you might feel that way. Okay. It might be just the thing the guy needs to hear. Because
they hate cops a lot of the time.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
I had a guy I did a negotiation on and what have you, and I'm talking to him. This is the one and only time that this happened. I'm talking to him on the phone. I was originally talking to him through a door. Okay. I was on the outside side of the door. He was on the inside side of the door. He had a 45 automatic on him.
Okay.
Okay. And nonetheless, when we got a throw phone in there with a camera, we were able to see it. I said, "Oh shit, he could have had me."
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I was talking to him for quite a while, and he said to me, he goes, "You're the first person that talked to me like I'm a human being." He goes, "I love you, Patrick." I thought, damn.
Wow.
I never expected I'd get somebody.
Yeah.
They loved me on a negotiation, but nonetheless.
Yeah. What happened in that situation?
Not good.
Okay.
Yeah. He was, he and I were doing well.
Yeah.
And another agency came in and we gave it over to them.
Handed it off. Yeah.
And they were talking to him and then they wound up going in. And when they went in, we think he accidentally shot himself.
Okay.
He lived.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
lived, but we think he accidentally shot himself. He got flustered.
Interesting point that you make there, where all of a sudden you're halfway through a negotiation with a guy and a different department or a different legal entity comes in and
Yeah.
it says we have jurisdiction over this.
Yeah.
That's got to be a real kick in the stomach for whoever's been working the negotiation to all of a sudden just hand it off and say, "Hey, that's probably not the right move. I'm already halfway through this. Let me hang out and finish this with you guys." But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking, it may have wound up better, but then again, maybe it wouldn't have,
Right. Sure.
and whatever. And none of us got shot.
That's always the good thing.
And I'm not saying that, that priority is above everything else, but it is. Let's face it, we don't want to lose a copper on this,
Mm-hmm.
And our victims come in next, and then of course, the subject themselves,
Right.
whatever. But I've had good situations too. We've had suicide attempts where we talked the person into putting the gun down. They did, and then they came out,
Yeah.
and everything was fine, and this and that. This guy was an emotional basket case,
Sure.
and he wasn't coming out for. I don't think he was going to come out for anybody.
For anybody, yeah.
But he did love me.
He did love you,
He
Pat.
did say he loved me. What can I say?
You were working with recruits and training for how many years did you do that? From 19 what to when? 2009, you joined the Cicero Police Department.
Yeah. Well, I was with. I was assigned to the academy officially in January of 1984.
Okay.
But I had been teaching there, firearms and what have you,
Right.
on and off for a year or two before that. So then I was officially assigned there from January of 84 through, I think, February of 91 or so. And then I got promoted out of there to sergeant.
Yep.
And then I was back on the street for a year and a half. And then they brought me back in as a supervisor of the academy. I was there that time for 4 years. Then I went back out, and then I went back in. So I was like the department's ping pong ball. I went back and forth to the academy 4 times. And eventually, on the last stint I was there, they promoted me to lieutenant while I was there.
Yeah.
So I was the director of the academy, and I had a good time. I was blessed.
Yeah, really.
I
Great
really
career.
was. Yeah, I was blessed, and I thank God every day for it.
Yep.
And a lot of guys, they did a great job too, and they never got nothing. But I happened to be in the right place at the right time, and it worked out.
We only have a few minutes here left, but I do want to cover Cicero because that was the end of your career. In 2009, you became the first deputy superintendent of the Cicero Police Department. How did that happen?
Well, I was doing a part-time police academy class, and there was a guy in the class who knew the town president, Larry Dominic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And he said, I'm having a good time in the academy, and we got some great instructors. We're having a blast, and they're working us out like crazy. He goes, oh, really? Who's your instructor? He goes, well, a guy by the name of Pat McGee. He goes, really? And Larry says, Pat was my instructor back in the 80s.
No kidding.
And he says, what?
Yeah.
And he says, you tell him to give me a call. So I started calling Larry, and we talked and we chit-chatted and whatever.
Yeah.
And so then he found out I was retiring or whatever. He says, "Come on over here.
Come on over here,
kid."
Yeah.
And I went over there, and I was only retired for like not even 5.5 months, and I got picked up over there.
Yeah.
So I went in as a commander, and then the first deputy left, and then they made me the first deputy. I was first deputy for about 3.5 years, something like that. Then I went back to being a commander. All I wanted to do was the training. And
There's a lot of action in Cicero. That's not rest time.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. And I was back on the west side, so I was policing an area that had alleys again. I'm like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
But we went from, I think it was 1,700 man-hours of training for the whole department when I first started there, to over 20,000 hours.
Yeah.
And we professionalized the hell out of their training system.
Cool.
And so I had a kid working for me there. We called him the Wizard. And he developed a schedule that would allow us to get to the guys and gals. And so they were getting training left and right. And it was good. And it was a great department. I was very, very impressed.
Yeah.
The discipline there was great. I didn't know what to expect.
Sure.
Rumors,
Yeah.
this and that. But I was very, very impressed.
Cool.
Yeah, good people there.
Throughout all your years of training recruits, and we'll end on this note. You're going to have to come back because we're just touching the tip of the iceberg on the stories that you have, Pat, I think. What makes a good cop today?
I think intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. And patience.
Yeah.
A calm demeanor. Knowing how to talk to people. But if push comes to shove, being able to fight your way out of a really bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And not being afraid to do that. And I think for the departments out there, they need to let their people know that you got their back, as opposed to some of these departments seem like they want to, slam dunk the guy as soon as he does anything, that